8:05 on a Thursday, and I've been thinking about something the last 24 hours or so I want to share with you here on KCMO Talk Radio. What if Democrats would have been better with Donald Trump winning in 2020 than winning and coming back in 2024? I was just asked a question that a lot of people have asked, and we've talked a little bit about on the show the last couple of days. And it's when you look back on the numbers, how Barack Obama got 69 million votes in 2008, 67 in 12, 66 for Hillary in 16, 81 million for Biden in 20, and 67 million for Harris this time around. There's one outlier there. And I don't know the answer. I'm going to assume it's because of mail-in ballots and organizing and getting people who never vote to suddenly just fill out this piece of paper that everybody got in the mail and go ahead and vote for Joe because orange man bad. I don't have the answer to that. It's all speculative right now. But I do know this. Democrats in 2020 were highly motivated, driven by the pandemic, which they blamed Trump for, which was completely ridiculous. And then also all the civil unrest, the racial nonsense, George Floyd, things like that. So they got Trump out of there. They got Biden in. But in hindsight, what if this is the worst thing that's actually happened to him? Donald Trump coming back, putting together a coalition of voters that is the most diverse coalition of Republican voters in my lifetime, which I know isn't as long as some of you, but literally the most diverse coalition for the Republican Party in probably 70 years, going back to the 50s. Probably got to go back to one of our own, Eisenhower, to find a Republican coalition this diverse. Certainly pre-LBJ, civil rights, all that stuff. This is the most diverse coalition in modern Republican history. So Trump's got all the wind to his back. The only group that he slightly improved with was the 65-plus crowd and college-educated white women. Everyone else shifted towards Republicans. So Republicans have all this momentum. Donald Trump is going to have a Republican U.S. Senate. He's likely to have a Republican House of Representatives. If Trump had won in 2020, he wouldn't have done really a whole lot during his second term. Democrats had the House. They ultimately got the Senate. He would not have been able to confirm anybody. Joe Biden appointed one Supreme Court justice during his 4 years. Trump might get 3. He got 3 his first time around. He could get 3 again. Clarence Thomas might retire. Samuel Alito might hang him up. They're 2 of the traditionalists on the court. And then you have Sonia Sotomayor, who is one of the uber progressives on the court appointed by Obama. And she's in really bad health. Like, I wish her well. I don't want anything to go wrong with her. But it's well noted that Sonia Sotomayor is in poor health. There is a scenario where Donald Trump gets 3 more Supreme Court justice appointments during his second term. And now he's back in power with a Senate on his side so he can confirm almost anybody he wants. And then he's going to have a House that's also Republican. He will have a 2-year stretch to get a lot of stuff done. And also, he will not be hamstrung by some of the people he was arguably being hamstrung by his first time around. Mike Pence is out. God bless Mike Pence. He's a good man. But Mike Pence was surrounded by a lot of the old guard. A lot of the people who did not want to do things maybe in the way Donald Trump would have done them, they're out. Now, there were some good people there, but I don't know about you. I feel a lot better with J.D. Vance as a VP than I do Mike Pence in hindsight. And that's not ragging on Mike Pence. He was a solid conservative, small c conservative, but there were just certain things that I think Mike Pence got in the way on at times. And Mike Pence was never going to be the future of the party after Donald Trump. J.D. Vance, who presented himself very well, despite the media calling him all these names and weird. I mean, one of the great ironies of the last few months is Tim Walz getting away with calling anybody else weird. Never mind J.D. Vance of all people. who, when you watched him in interviews and listened to him, is the furthest thing from weird. You might not agree with him, but he's not weird. He's like a normal guy that you would bump into just about anywhere. Like, you could see J.D. Vance being in your fraternity. And I don't mean that as like he's a frat bro. I just mean he's a guy that you'd sit on the couch with, watch some football, drink a beer, and hang out with. They tried to make Tim Walz that guy. He never was. So you've got a big upgrade with J.D. Vance. You have the future of the party, right, being set up the way it's being set up. And you have this almost come to Jesus moment for a lot of people in big business as well. Look at what's happened to Elon Musk, who's been red-pilled. Joe Rogan. Did you see who was congratulating Donald Trump the last 24 hours? I mean, it was shocking. Jeff Bezos, of course, the founder of Amazon, put up a post. Big congratulations, Bezos writes. Big congratulations. How about that?
Such a nice man.
To our 45th and now 47th president on an extraordinary political comeback and decisive victory. No nation has bigger opportunities. Wishing Donald Trump all success in leading and uniting the America that we all love. Someone else, Tim Cook of Apple, posting yesterday, congratulations, President Trump, on your victory! Exclamation point from Timmy Cook. We look forward to engaging with you and your administration to help make sure the United States continues to lead with and be fueled by ingenuity, innovation, and creativity. Big tech largely was as anti-Trump as it got 4 years ago. Now you've got some of the most powerful people in the tech world either wanting to be on Donald Trump's team, Elon Musk, or you've got him at the very least congratulating Trump on a big win. That would have been inconceivable 4 years ago for the CEO of Apple, for Jeff Bezos, to say anything nice about this guy and congratulate him. Yet look at where we are today. Look at what's happening right now. Look at how this is playing out. Was Joe Biden and that 4-year term really worth it? Because now you're sitting here in this climate with Donald Trump reinvigorated, learning from his first 4 years when he got caught up in some of the swampy nonsense, and potentially really being able to fix this country in a way that he would not have been able to from 2020 to 2024. Yes, he will begin as a lame duck. That is true. He can only serve one term. But it's a different kind of a lame duck because it's really the start of a brand new term. And that is something that should be very concerning to Democrats. And frankly, I think Donald Trump and how he's viewed historically will be much more positive than had we been sitting here right now finishing up his second term when people generally would have been tired of Trump. Listen, there would have been Trump fatigue by now if he was finishing up a second term. But now it's like, you know what? That was actually a pretty good time. Yeah, some of the tweets were nutty, but overall, when you look at the policy and you look at what the guy did for the country and you compare it to where it's been the last 4 years, whether it's economically, whether it's foreign policy or elsewhere, you know what? Actually, it was pretty good. 913-408-7957. Wes, go ahead. You're on KCMO.
Pete, that is the lesson of the last 4 years. Sometimes you got to go through the fire to come out clean on the other side, and this is exactly what has happened. All the things, all the points that you just made. Would Elon Musk have X if we hadn't had Biden? I think the answer is no. And all the other things, Bezos, all the guys, all the billionaires in Silicon Valley who finally woke up. And your number one point, Trump is a different guy than he was 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that's the most important part. Well, I think he's going to go in and he's going to get people on his team that are not swamp creatures.
Well, he's already done that. Here's the other part, Wes. Thank you, man. 4 years or 8 years ago when Donald Trump won, no one thought he was going to win. He didn't know what he was doing. And I mean that like he was not part of the political machine. He relied on a lot of people that maybe he, in hindsight, should not have relied on. Whatever you think of that, right? That's what he did. He kind of had to because he didn't have any infrastructure. He didn't know D.C. Now, he knows how the place works. He knows how it operates. To use an analogy, he knows where the bodies are buried. Figuratively, not literally. Don't freak out. So Donald Trump's second term, with the 4-year break and disaster of Joe Biden in between, may actually turn out to be the best thing for him, his legacy, but most importantly, the American people. 913-408-7957. Ty Masterson is the Kansas Senate president. He will be here at 8:35 because there was a big push by Laura Kelly to flip a bunch of seats in Johnson County. It didn't happen. Republicans held on to their supermajority. Ty Masterson will explain what that means for the state of Kansas at 8:35 on KCMO. And I do have to get to some crocodile tears that we heard last night on television. It's all coming up. Pete Mundo at 8:16 on 95.7 FM KCMO and streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Oh, Dave Ramsey, another guy who gave an endorsement on his show. Ramsey, I don't know if he had ever endorsed a president before on air, but Dave Ramsey, I want to say it was 2 weeks ago, came out and endorsed Donald Trump live on the air. And it kind of came off like it was just off the cuff. I want to say it was after a caller, and his daughter was like, "Oh, are we really going to do that?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're going to do that. It's my show. It's my company. We're doing that." So Ramsey coming out, and not that it was like a shocker that Dave Ramsey was supporting Donald Trump, but still, that was one of the many interesting moments of the last couple of weeks on KCMO 95.7 FM. 913-408-7957. Jim in Blue Springs, go ahead, my man.
Yeah, one of the good things that Donald Trump's got this time, he doesn't have Paul Ryan, one of the ultimate old-school grifters, working behind him and stabbing him in the back.
Well, that's a good point. Listen, there's no doubt. Thank you, Jim. There's no doubt that when you compare where the party is today versus where it was 8 years ago, there was still a lot of internal pushback, thinking Trump's a fad. Trump's like, just kind of a mistake, more or less. But now it's indisputable what the American people want. And it's not like it's just 2016 where it was all about this middle America, working white class vote. It's across the board. Axios this morning, President-elect Donald Trump was backed by 46% of Latino voters, surpassing Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush to win the biggest share of the national Latino vote by a Republican presidential contender in modern times. There's not a Republican who can be like, this is a mistake. I don't think people actually want Trump. Okay, is Trump still going to do things that make us want to pull our hair out hopefully not every day. Hopefully it's like maybe every week or two. That would be great. Yeah, sure. Is he going to put things up on his Truth Social that make you say, what are we doing here? Yeah, he probably is. I'm not denying that that's still going to be the case. But when it comes to what the American people want, they just gave this guy a mandate. He won the popular vote by millions, which no Republican had done in 20 years, and he blew out the Electoral College. It looks like he's going to win every single swing state. So you can't sit there and be like, even Mitt Romney put out a post the other night saying, congratulations, Donald Trump. What can you say at this point? There's nothing else for you to say, right? Ollie in South KC, what's up, man?
Yeah, hi, Pete. Hey, I like it. Just got in the vehicle. I listen pretty much every morning and listening to your topic and everybody. And by the way, Dave Ramsey, I heard he also kind of scolded his people. He told them to get over it. But what I really wanted to say, isn't it nice to know that we have been unburdened by what has been?
Very well done there, Ollie. We are all unburdened by what has been. And, I don't know what we do. We have a plaque outside the office or outside the studio here that one of our listeners made for us. I want to say this was back in 2021. And we tap it every morning, kind of like the Notre Dame Play Like a Champion plaque. And it says on the plaque, "It is time for us to be doing what we have been doing, and that time is every day." One of the many famous quotes of Kamala Harris, a very deep thinker. So I don't know what we do with this plaque now that I've been tapping every morning walking into the studio for at least 2.5 years. So I'll figure that out at some point.
That was an eternal truth, Pete.
Yeah, that's a good point, John.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we can hang with it for now. Steve and Miriam, what's up, buddy? You're on KCMO.
How are you this morning?
I'm beautiful, baby. I mean, I'm riding high, brother. How are you?
I feel in the same way. Hey, actually, it wasn't even part of my call, but in mentioning people out of the way, hats off to Mitt Romney being out of the way. That certainly won't help. Hey, two quick but I think important points. You had made the mention about it being a lame duck presidency. I really don't feel that way. I think we can all agree that with his policy successes in his first term, that Donald Trump and only Donald Trump, through his arrogance, cost himself that second election.
But what my broader point is that it is technically, yes, a lame duck term. He cannot run again. But when you say he cost himself, what I'm saying is he's better off, the country's better off, and the Republican Party may very well be better off for a generation to come because he lost 4 years ago and then came back to win this time around.
That is absolutely correct. And, along the lines of perhaps what Obama managed to do, unless you can think of somebody that the Democrats could throw out there, and I have no idea who it would be, he really should have free reign to find, or, at least the Republican Party should have free reign to find who is going to carry that torch forward 4 years from now, unless they do something completely disastrous. But I think he would have learned so much in his first term and will be surrounded by enough intelligence that he won't make that same mistake again. And it'll be very difficult for the Republicans to not carry forward the important policies.
Well, listen, one thing we do know, and I will just say this, Steve, I got to run. The country does swing back and forth, right? We know that happens. But the Republican Party has a massive opportunity to put itself in a position where it has power, at least in one or two of the branches of government for a very long time to come. And since you brought it up, I'll just mention this real quick. The odds are already out on 2028. I know Mark's looking for a parlay here. He's trying to find something to bet. He's trying to find it. The top odds to win the 2028 presidential election, J.D. Vance, obviously number one at 3-1. Josh Shapiro, the Pennsylvania Democratic governor, is 4-1, number two. Gavin Newsom, 7-1, California governor. Gretchen Whitmer, Michigan governor, is 8-1. Raphael Warnock, 12-1, Democrat U.S. Senator from Georgia. Nikki Haley is 16-1.
Nothing on Beto?
No, I don't see Beto on this list, John. I don't see Robert Francis on the list anywhere.
Oh, dang it.
Oh, wait, no, he is. 200-1.
200.
Yeah.